Hello everybody. So who knows what's going to come out of this mouth? No one. So words, why don't I'll talk about words. So when there's a seeker in non-duality, there could be this kind of constant analyzing of the words that are being spoken by a so-called speaker or teacher. Trying to hear if there's a non-dual word or a dualistic word. And I'll cut it short straight off the bat. It's all bullshit. Words, every single word, is just empty. It's just a vibration of sound that's exactly like a bird singing. And this is meaningless and purposeless. It's without purpose, without meaning. And you can see there that there's this attempt to try and put meaning into words. Because the self, the illusion of self, is the illusion of me and my meaning and my purpose. And it's the knower, so I have to know the word, and words have meaning. They don't. So every video, every satsang, every word that is ever spoken is simply empty and has nothing at all to do with awakening, liberation, or any other, again, word that we can use to describe the freedom of this. So we only use words to try and attempt to communicate from a human being to another human being what this is about, and introduce that by saying and repeating endlessly, it is not in the words, it's got nothing to do with the words, and yet people will sit there constantly analyzing the words. So it has nothing to do with any word. Doesn't matter if it's said precisely or imprecisely, clumsily or poetically. Words are, like Zen says, all words are dogs barking. The sense of self is not a problem about thought, it's not a problem about words, because essentially then there's this assumption that it comes from belief. So I have to change these words in my head and my beliefs, or it's the thoughts that are appearing, because all of that is in the realm of words, words in the form of external vocal words, thought words, beliefs through words, as if any of those, what could you call them? Vibrations of energy would change this. So the illusional self is got nothing to do with words, it's about a contracted cellular energy. So in every cell of the body there is a contraction, which is simply a a miscommunication or a misinterpretation because of the concentration of data in and around a human body, because there's skin feeling, a thought arising, hand moving, eyes smelling, touching, tasting, all the five senses, it interprets that all of these happenings are coming to a center, and that center has control, which has nothing to do with words. It's an energetic sense that if all of these sensory detections are happening, it must be to a center. And it's not. There's nothing, no one, just feeling happening, smelling happening, tasting happening, touching happening, seeing happening, hearing happening by itself, automatically, without any on-off switch. So this is a pathless path. Nothing can bring you closer, nothing can bring you further. So you can get a golf instructor, say I want to learn to play golf, and the golf instructor will show you how to swing a golf club, and if you practice and observe, eventually you might get better at swinging the golf club. But that has to, the golf teacher knows how to play golf, he knows how to swing that club very naturally and effortlessly, and you have to assimilate that technique by observing and applying, observing and applying. So sometimes we think non-duality, awakening, or whatever we call it, liberation, enlightenment, has to follow that same process, because we're so habituated in learning as a process. So this isn't saying yes or no, because as the golf lesson, learning a language, learning how to play golf, learning how to read or write, all these things can happen, but they are just what is happening in the moment, just what we're doing. So the body will assimilate, like learning how to cook, will assimilate on how to take ingredients and put them together and observe to see that something is the right texture, feeling, taste, etc. What non-duality is pointing out or pointing to is that whether we're playing golf or whether we're cooking or whether we're talking, it's all happening free of itself, and there's never been anybody doing it. So non-duality cannot give instruction, because if you want to sit and meditate, then that's like going and swinging a golf club. If you want to even do self-inquiry, that's like swinging a golf club. It's part of life. It's a movement of life. So it isn't greater or lower. It's just something that that can be done, can happen. But nothing leads to liberation, because there already is no one. There's just nothing being everything, just immediacy. Immediacy. And because it's free, again, free to play golf, free to play chess, free to cook, free to meditate, free to self-inquire. So That's why there are people who have meditated for 20 years or self-inquired for 10 or whatever and still feel a sense of separation. Because there's this input of energy towards a goal, which is all time-oriented. And there is no time and space. There's just immediacy, always immediacy. The beauty of playing sport like golf or cricket or football is that because when you have the ball, it is that immediacy, the whole of your attention is so consumed in just that immediacy, then there is no me. There's just the action of moving and running and swinging. So I say this to basically, I guess, try and save you some time, so to speak, because there are quite a lot of people that really think that it has got something to do with words, and it really doesn't. So when you're sitting there trying to analyze a word that is spoken, you're not seeing the joke is on you, because there's an assumption there that there's a right word and a wrong word. So that if a non-duality speaker was to use the word I or me, that that's duality. They're saying that there is an I. And it's just funny because how could, if we're talking about liberation, which is freedom, why on earth would freedom suggest that we become incapacitated with words? And all of a sudden, this is free and can express anything, and all of a sudden it stutters at a word? That would just be completely mad. So when you're the one analyzing the words to see, oh, is they're saying that the right way, you're missing the point so much that you're blind to your own misinterpretation. So the freedom of nothing being everything is that it is nothing being everything. Every word. So I, or shit, or fuck, or tree, balloon, they're just words, and none of those words has more or less anything. They're all equally empty words. Now, this doesn't prevent us from understanding that a different body can have a certain preference to be kind and to choose consciously to communicate kind words, loving words to others, which seems to happen a lot more and a lot more naturally when there isn't that psychosis of the self. The illusional controller. driver or the passenger in the dream bus. When that's gone, our nature is peace. It's not owned by anybody, it's just peace. And it automatically enjoys the infinite peace that is always experienced, and enjoys, you could say, radiating that peace and that love. It feels very natural to do so. So words can quite often occupy the seeker a lot. They get lost in the words and they're trying to figure things out. So words not only looking for an exact word or to question that if a speaker's saying this or that word, but also the same goes to the collection of words. The seeker who's trying to grasp what does that mean, you're still in a jungle of words, and it's got nothing to do with those words. And this never gets heard until it's heard. And when it's heard, it's just a joke, and it laughs and it can cry. It's got nothing to do with understanding. Understanding comes through words. It's got nothing to do with the words, got nothing to do with understanding. As long as there is an attempt to try to understand, that is what is appearing, and that's all. Liberation is unknowingness. It's very similar to hearing a bird tweet and then going, oh, I need to understand that. Bird couldn't care. And that's what non-duality is like. It just doesn't matter, because it's just life moving. Blah, 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 blah. Saying blah, blah, blah is just as valuable as saying a beautifully eloquent poem. Isn't that crazy? And then the last thing I'll say in the chapter of words is that in that case, it's also got nothing to do with intelligence. You could be the most intelligent human being or the least intelligent human being, and there still is no one there. It's got nothing to do with that. And as you can see with your plain eyes, is that both the intelligent and the apparent unintelligent breathe air, walk, talk, sleep, eat. That's life happening. So the illusion of words can often confuse immensely, as if there's some form of rite of passage, that through the words there needs to be an understanding or a figuring out or a belief structure or whatever it is, and it's not. It's just got nothing to do with it. You could be blind, deaf, dumb, and still feel the sense of separation, and you could be blind, deaf, and dumb, and realize that there's nobody there, and the sense of separation dies, drops away. It's got nothing to do with anything, really, because we're talking about an illusion. The sense of separation is simply an illusion. And all there is immediacy. And so this tweet, tweet, tweet makes noise. And it's fun making sounds. That's life. Just the possibility of being able to make sounds, whether it's speaking, poetry, singing. It's just empty, pointless fun. So there we go. Hope that a knot's a knot for you. Peace and love.